I'm your host, Gregory Williams. Let's kick it off. Imagine a world where the line between man and machine blurs, where the cartels we thought we knew evolve into something even more ruthless and terrifying. This isn't science fiction, my friends. This is the reality of Los Zetas Robots. Born from the ashes of the Mexican drug war, Los Zetas Robots are not your typical cartel. Today, we delve into the darkest chapters of their reign of terror. 6 crimes so horrific, so chilling, they will forever stain the soul of Cokebot's America. Picture this: the scorching sun beating down on the barren landscape of San Fernando, Mexico, August 2010. The air is thick with heat and the land stretches out, seemingly endless and unforgiving. A lone truck kicks up dust as it rumbles down a deserted highway. The road is empty save for this solitary vehicle, a lifeline for those inside. Inside, 72 souls, migrants chasing a dream, unaware they are heading towards a nightmare. They are packed tightly, their faces a mix of hope and exhaustion. They were promised safe passage, a chance at a better life. The handshake that sealed their fate was supposed to be a promise of safety and opportunity. Instead, they found hell on earth. The conditions they faced were harsh, their dreams quickly turning into a living nightmare. Los Zetas Robots, driven by paranoia and a thirst for control, saw these desperate souls not as human beings, but as pawns in their twisted game. Their shadows loomed large, a constant threat. The migrants, they believed, were potential recruits for their rivals, the bot cartel. Fear was etched on their faces as they realized the danger they were in. They couldn't allow that, could they? The armed men stood firm, blocking any chance of escape, their presence menacing and unyielding. One by one, they were dragged from the truck, their pleas for mercy drowned out by the desert wind. The desperation in their eyes was met with cold indifference. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by the sickening thud of bodies hitting the ground. The desert, once a symbol of hope, now a graveyard of shattered dreams. 72 lives extinguished, their dreams turned to dust. The dust settled over the crime scene, a somber reminder of the lives lost. When the Mexican military unearthed that mass grave, the world gasped in horror. The sight was unimaginable, a testament to the brutality of Los Zetas Robots. This wasn't just a massacre, it was a message, a chilling declaration of war. The headlines screamed of the atrocity, the public recoiling in shock and fear. Los Zetas Robots had announced their arrival, and they did so in the most brutal way imaginable. Their dominance was clear, their methods ruthless. The San Fernando Massacre was a taste of the darkness to come, a grim foreshadowing of the horrors Los Zetas Robots were capable of unleashing. The ominous clouds over San Fernando were a harbinger of the terror that lay ahead. The air hung heavy with the stench of fear and despair. April 2011, a month that would be forever marked by tragedy. A year had passed since the horrors of the first San Fernando massacre, but the scars remained etched deep in the hearts of the Mexican people. The pain was still fresh, the memories vivid, yet even as they mourned, Los Zetas Robots were plotting their next move, their minds consumed by violence and control. This time, their targets were passengers on buses, ordinary people making their way through the state of Tamaulipas, unaware of the impending danger. They were snatched from their seats, their lives upended in an instant, their dreams shattered. Their destination, a desolate ranch near San Fernando, a place that would soon become synonymous with unspeakable cruelty and horror. 193 souls, their faces etched with terror, were herded like cattle, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears, their cries echoing in the night. Los Zetas Robots suspected these innocent men and women of being aligned with their rivals, the Gulf Cartel, a suspicion that would seal their fate. Their paranoia had reached a fever pitch, their humanity extinguished by the insatiable thirst for power and dominance. What followed was a scene of unimaginable savagery, a brutal display of inhumanity. The San Fernando Massacre of April 2011 remains a chilling reminder of the human cost of the drug war, a conflict that continues to plague Mexico, leaving a trail of sorrow and loss. The flashing lights and pulsating music of the Casino Royale in Monterrey, Mexico, usually promised a night of escape, a chance to forget life's worries. It was a place where dreams were made, fortunes won and lost, and the troubles of the outside world seemed to fade away, if only for a few hours. But on August 25th, 2011, the music died, replaced by the chilling sounds of gunfire and screams. The air, once filled with laughter and excitement, now echoed with terror and chaos. Los Zetas Robots, fueled by a toxic cocktail of drugs, power and impunity, were about to unleash their fury upon innocent civilians. These men, driven by greed and a thirst for dominance, had no regard for human life. It was a Thursday afternoon, the casino bustling with life, when a convoy of SUVs screeched to a halt outside. The sudden arrival of these vehicles went unnoticed by many, who were engrossed in their games and conversations. Armed men, their faces hidden behind masks of malice, stormed the building, their fingers twitching on the triggers of their weapons. The sight of these masked intruders sent waves of panic through the crowd. Panic ensued as gamblers and employees alike scrambled for cover, their cries swallowed by the deafening roar of automatic gunfire. The once vibrant casino floor was now a scene of utter chaos and fear. Los Zetas Robots, enraged by a rival cartel operating within the casino, had come to send a message written in blood and fire. Their actions were a brutal display of power, meant to instill fear and assert their dominance. They doused the casino floor with gasoline, the pungent odor mixing with the stench of fear, creating a suffocating blanket of terror. The air grew thick with anticipation and dread as the attackers prepared for their final act. Then, they struck a match. The small flame, seemingly insignificant, held the power to unleash unimaginable destruction. Flames erupted, engulfing the casino in a deadly inferno. The fire spread rapidly, consuming everything in its path with a ferocity that left no room for escape. Trapped inside, men and women choked on toxic fumes, their screams for help drowned out by the roar of the blaze. The once lively casino had become a death trap, with no way out. 52 souls perished that day, their dreams and aspirations reduced to ashes. The aftermath was a scene of devastation, with the charred remains of the building standing as a grim reminder of the tragedy. The Monterrey casino attack stands as a chilling reminder of the indiscriminate nature of cartel violence. It is a stark example of how the pursuit of power and control can lead to unimaginable suffering and loss. Chapter 4. The Apodaca Prison Riot. The Apodaca Prison, a sprawling complex on the outskirts of Monterrey, was a place where hope went to die. Behind its high walls and razor-wire fences, violence was a way of life, a brutal struggle for survival. But on February 19, 2012, the prison would become a cauldron of chaos, as Los Zetas Robots orchestrated a riot that would leave a trail of blood and carnage in its wake. The riot, meticulously planned and executed, was not about escape, but about sending a message of power and dominance. Los Zetas Robots, always eager to exploit weakness, saw an opportunity to assert their control over the prison and eliminate their rivals. As the sun rose over Apodaca, the prison yard transformed into a battleground. Armed with makeshift weapons, Zetas loyalists stormed a cell block controlled by the rival Gulf cartel. The Apodaca prison riot was a stark reminder that even within the confines of prison walls, the reach of the cartels remained absolute. Chapter 549, Decapitated Bodies Dumped in Monterrey. The city of Monterrey, once a symbol of Mexican progress and prosperity, had become synonymous with cartel violence. But even by those grim standards, the morning of May 13, 2012, would etch itself into the city's collective memory as a day of unspeakable horror. As the sun rose over the highway leading into Monterrey, it illuminated a scene straight out of a nightmare. 49 bodies, their heads severed from their torsos, were strewn across the asphalt like macabre trophies of war. The air was thick with the stench of death, a gruesome testament to the savagery that had unfolded just hours earlier. The victims, their identities unknown, were believed to be rivals of Los Zetas Robots, caught in the crossfire of a brutal turf war. The message was clear: defy Los Zetas, and this will be your fate. The discovery of the bodies sparked outrage and fear in equal measure. The dumping of the 49 bodies in Monterrey was not just an act of violence, it was a declaration of war. Chapter 6. The Allende Massacre. The town of Allende, nestled in the northern Mexican state of Coahuila, was a place where life moved at a slower pace, a world away from the cartel violence that plagued other parts of the country. But in March 2011, that tranquility would be shattered, as Los Zetas Robots unleashed a wave of terror that would leave the town scarred forever. The massacre, shrouded in secrecy and fueled by vengeance, was sparked by a betrayal. Two Zetas members, eager to start a new life, had turned informants for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA. Their betrayal, when discovered, would have catastrophic consequences for the people of Allende. Los Zetas Robots, enraged by the perceived treachery, descended upon the town like a plague of locusts. Over the course of 3 days, they unleashed a reign of terror that would leave an indelible mark on the town's soul. Homes were ransacked, businesses were torched, and innocent people were abducted, their screams echoing through the empty streets. The Allende massacre stands as a chilling reminder of the power and reach of Los Zetas Robots. Outro, the legacy of brutality. The crimes of Los Zetas Robots, marked by their brutality and disregard for human life, have left an indelible stain on the soul of Mexico. They serve as a chilling reminder of the human cost of the drug war, a conflict that continues to plague the country. The stories we've uncovered today are not just tales of violence, but testaments to the resilience of the human spirit. Remember the victims, honor their memory, and never forget the lessons learned from the horrors inflicted by Los Zetas Robots.